Hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we're live on a Friday afternoon, which time, which means that it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And I just wanted to let you know that we have lots of feelings to talk about. First of all, hi there to Jeannie. Jeannie is one of our admins, and just to let you know, Jeannie, I just got word from Jody that she made it back from the specialist in time, so you can take a deep breath. However, thank you for being here, and please continue. We've got lots of updates for you. Um, I just wanted to say that our broadcast today is talking about the joy of having visitors. And, having said that, there are obviously some downsides to having visitors, and we'll also discuss those. But mainly, I had a week full of visitors, and I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed having them, and I have more visitors tomorrow. So very exciting for me to have so much company. We've got, first of all, before I get onto the broadcast, I just heard this morning on the news, I try to comment on the news where I can, but I understand that three Israeli hostages, male hostages, were accidentally killed by the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, yeah, IDF. And that does not surprise me, quite honestly. I think as this goes on, we will need to expect more accidents such as these. So very, very sad to hear, though, and my heart and my thoughts and prayers go out to the families and all those involved with that, because can you imagine the joy and then the terror? The joy that they were found, and then the terror when they were shot, and if you happen to be a witness to that, that must have been absolutely horrific to see your own people kill your buddies that you've been surviving with for so long. But, it is what it is, and these are things that happen in times of war. So we have to be just aware. So we've got, on the good side, changing the subject, we got 10 days until Christmas. Well, I hope it's on the good side, and I hope you're doing well. That would be my number one wish for you, that you are ahead of the game, if anything, and that you are doing well about getting ready for Christmas. Hi there, Jody. She made it in the room. Well done. And so we've got 10 days until Christmas and just 95 days. We're into the double digits now until spring. For those of you who are going, what is she talking about spring for? And I have to say that I don't do winter well. So I go from Christmas to spring. I just, all during that winter month, season, I just count down to spring, because that's the thing I enjoy. I love spring for some reason. Oh, interesting. Thanks, Jeannie. Jeannie's updating us. She's saying it sounded like the three were not in custody of Hamas, but may have escaped. Oh, good for them for having escaped. That makes it even more tragic in many ways, doesn't it? Thanks for letting me know, Jeannie. I appreciate that. I haven't had time to sort of check on it this morning, but I did see the sort of the news headlines. Right. So, we have birthdays coming up, and that is Max's daddy, Chris. His birthday is on the 24th. Obviously, we have Jesus on the 25th, along with Yvonne. Her birthday is on the 25th. And for those of you who remember Glenn, way back when, Glenn, it's his birthday on the 28th. So those are the ones I know about. If we've missed your birthday, please let me know. If you're a regular viewer or listener, watch the replays, whatever, on a regular basis, we would love to have you as part of the database. So, health updates. I've got two from Jody. The first one came in yesterday, and then I'm going to give you today's update because it's different. First of all, she said she's focusing on the positive news that it doesn't seem to, let me give some history here. Jody went in for an operation recently, and then came back for gallstones and other stuff, and then came back and got and one of the incisions, they did exploratory, they opened her up, I think, in 7 different places to explore what was going on. They put a scope in and have a look. and one of those incisions got infected. So she's saying it's not getting any worse. It's only a small improvement. So I'm guessing I need a different antibiotic. The lymphoderma, she has this thing where your body swells up. The lymphoderma has been difficult to deal with, combined with the infection. The swelling has taken over my right side abdominal area. The good news is she was saying that she doesn't have fever or chills, but she was feeling pretty lethargic. So that's what she told me yesterday. However, today she's just got back. And let me now read you what she sent me minutes ago. Apparently, she had over 30 gallstones. No wonder her nausea was so bad. And the infection wasn't helped by the antibiotics that she was taking. She needed more powerful steroids, which her primary physician now needs to prescribe, and also to follow up more closely with the surgeon. The good news is that the incisions are stable and healing. We like to hear that. Apparently, she had a tough time on the operating theater. You know, she suffers from fibromyalgia, and so the being on the operating theater table for so long caused the lymphoderma flare, and currently, and we hope temporarily, the disfigurement of her right side, this side. She's saying it's ugly. The skin is discolored and so swollen, I look like I have a bed pillow taped to my side. But here she is. Here she is in the room to join us and be our admin. And Jody, I'm going to ask Jeannie to stand by with us, because the chances are, with all that you've done today, you may nod off without realizing it. Do you agree? Because we know that that's been a lot of stress for you today. And so we appreciate the fact you're here, as usual. But what I want to say is that, I think it's yeah, Jeannie's here. Thanks, Jeannie. So we're going to ask Jeannie just to stand by so that if you go missing, I can call on her. And I want to give you full permission, Jody, to doze off and get that rest that you will probably need. So, having said that, let me now get to what I was going to give you here, which is our quotes of the day. And the quotes that I want to give you today, if I can get them pulled up, about having visitors. And I don't know about you, but having visitors is a two-edged sword, isn't it? There's the good news and the bad news. So how many of you like having visitors, and why? And how many of you don't like having visitors, and why? What are your feelings about visitors? That's our subject today. I'm going to start with my first topic, which would be, I'm feeling, because we talk about feelings on Fridays, I'm feeling tidier. And not that I'm totally tidy in the house. No, I'm not. But I'm tidier. And I notice that I keep my house tidier when I know I'm having visitors. Yes, I agree with Jeannie 100%. Jeannie's saying I like visitors as long as I know they're coming. Yeah, I do not do surprise visits very well. I can, but then I grew up believing that to be rude. What about you, Jeannie? That you don't just pop in. You give people warning that you're coming. You're going to have to excuse me that my eyes are streaming and I'm probably sounding a bit bunged up. I don't know what it is. This last cold that I had somehow didn't go away. So for some reason, I'm still sneezing and I'm still, crying all the time. I'm a happy little thing, but the tears are coming out of my eyes. And so just forgive me, but I'm here. So I love this quote. I found this quote, and it said, when I go to somebody's house and they tell me to make myself at home, the first thing I do is throw them out. I don't like visitors. I don't know about you, but it was just like, there are times when I know what that's about. Yes, Junie's confirming that. Never just pop in. All right. It's too rude. Yeah, and people don't realize that they, in a way, it's like you should be grateful for the fact they did that. Hi, Sakura. What an unbelievably delightful visitor you are, my love. It's so long since we've seen you, and please update us on how things are going. For those of you who don't know, Sakura goes back way back, and how wonderful that you've come in to talk to us. So, how many of you are finding? I've learned this new trick about being tidier. Yes, Jody says, I love the idea of having visitors. I don't like surprise guests because I never know how I'll be feeling from one day to the next. Also, I feel like I just can't do enough for guests. That's your stuff, right, Jody? I used to have the same problem, and then Yvonne put me right on that one. They're coming to see you, not your cooking, not your whatever. Yes, Jeannie's saying, I want my home neat when there are visitors. I agree, absolutely. And my house is doing pretty well, and it'll stay pretty well because I've got another visitor coming tomorrow. So that's exciting for me. So I'm feeling tidier without a doubt. And I've learned a trick that I don't know if I told you about, but I read it somewhere, and it really does work. I literally will go into a room and I'll have a cubie with me. Hang on a sec. Um, Glad I did that because I found something else I wanted to talk to you about. I'll have one of these with me, right? And what I do is I just look in the room and I go, what doesn't belong in here? Chuck, 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 chuck. Move to the next room. What doesn't belong in here? Oh, is there anything in here that belongs in the second room? If so, put it away. Then what doesn't belong in the second room? Chuck, chuck, chuck. And I walk through the house like that. And it is amazing how quickly you can tidy up doing that. The other thing is, okay, let me talk about this so I can just put it away so I keep doing this. I wanted to just tell you, this is the center of either some wrapping paper or whatever, but I keep the center of my paper towels for this reason. When you are cutting wrapping paper, you always have these bits that are left over, okay? And what I do is I put the bits on a roll, right? So I've got the main wrapping paper. And by the way, I really recommend buying as high a quality wrapping paper as you can. I found it really interesting. For example, I use this incredibly thick wrapping paper. And oh, hang on, Sakura said hi, or miss you, and I just wanted to pop in and say hi. Enjoy Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Come back, Sakura. We want an update. Or even if you don't come back, send me an update so I can give it to other people because we care. Anyway, what I wanted to say was if you use really good quality wrapping paper, I am amazed how people will unwrap so carefully and leave the wrapping paper. And I normally try and wrap presents with removable tape. All right, so they don't have to rip the paper either. So just a thought. And that happened to me this week. So just strange. I like this one. It said, guests are like fish. They begin to smell after 3 days. Now, I don't do guest staying overnight well either. Because I have a very strange timetable. I go to sleep very, very late. It's a miracle if I go to sleep before 3, and therefore I don't wake up until 10, which is a bit difficult when you have guests. So I try not to do that. So I feel, without a doubt, I felt a feeling of great love this week. And the reason, obviously, is because I have had guests and we have given gifts and so forth. So first of all, Dougie came to visit, and he came for lunch. And I now know enough about Dougie. For those of you who don't know, Dougie is my son, and it's just like I know that he likes to stuff a pita and not have a whole lot of fuss when he eats. So I made that really nice cheese board and stuff of stuff he could put in his pita. Made a whole stack. I make my own pita bread. And here we go. So, and the other thing I did was I made pitas of different sizes. All right, and some were bigger than others. So, some were sort of this size pita, and then some were even bigger. You know what I mean? And it was just like, you just slice it in half and fill it up. I turn mine upside down, so this hollow part, you can fill everything in there and then put the lid on it, and there you go. So one of my greatest joys is to have learned how to do that, by the way. So, and I'm going to leave that out because I'm going to have some after we finish the broadcast. So that was the first thing. And Doug and I got caught up a little bit. I always know that he's on a very tight timetable. So one of the things I've learned to do with him is to check, as basically before I start talking to him, I want to know, what time do you have to go, honey? That's one of the first questions I ask him, so that I don't abuse his kindness of coming to visit. Do any of you understand where I'm coming from on that? And what I do is all the time, I hold myself responsible and accountable for making sure I don't go over his allotted time that he feels comfortable with. And I know that might sound strange, but when he's so busy, this is his busiest time of year. The fact that he's given up a couple of hours to come and see me, I consider that a great gift. So we got caught up on a number of things. And I am pleased to say that he should start winding down just before Christmas. I think he's busy right up to Christmas, but I'm pretty certain it'll get a little easier. I could be wrong. Maybe it'll get worse. But he is doing a big event at a mall at the moment. So you can imagine how busy that is. So, would you agree with this statement? It says that people are either born hosts or born guests. Which do you prefer to be, a host or a guest? And while you're answering that one, I have had yesterday, I had Marnie and her mom. Marnie being a very dear friend of mine for many, many years. She and her mom came to visit me yesterday. And we had such fun. If you guys had listened to us, you would think that we were anything but friends. Because we were having this debate. And, really, people don't debate anymore. You've heard me say this time and time again. But one of the things I appreciate most about my friend Marnie is she and I can have totally opposing views on things, and we just debate it. I don't think she's stupid for her views. And then Mommy had some views that I didn't, I vehemently disagreed with. And I told her that. I said, I'm not saying you're wrong or right. What I'm saying is I heard da 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 da. And, and I'm don't know which one of us has the better version, but they're different versions of this. But we literally, and then the other thing was we found ourselves cutting each other off. All right. And what I love about these two, when they come to visit me, you can actually look at them and go, excuse me, I'd like to finish my point. And they go, fair enough. And then And it goes both ways, right? Like, other people, what I would start cutting somebody off, and they would look at me and go, "We'd like to finish the point," and I go, "Okay, okay, okay." But it's just like, it is so entertaining in lots of ways and so informative in lots of ways. By the way, Jeannie's saying she prefers to be a hostess rather than a guest. I agree with you. I even though it's less work in a way to be a guest. Oh, interesting. Jody's saying she prefers to be a guest, but I bring food and always offer to help in the kitchen and clear the table after a meal. Yeah, you're a family guest, if what is what I call that. So that's an interesting point, though. That I must admit, I like having people come over, but I need enough time so that I can prepare and everything else. So that's it. So I had a really nice visit with Doug. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the visit with Marnie and Marie. And of course, there was a really funny component to this. After we jabbered nonstop for many hours, they not only got their Christmas presents, and I got mine. And they did a very, very nasty thing to me. They bought me a candy bowl and the candies to go in it. And I don't know about you. I looked at Marnie and I went, "You give this to somebody who's pre-diabetic." And she went, "I am so sorry." I said, "No, I'm delighted. I am absolutely delighted. I just can't guarantee they'll be there for very long." So you do know there were many more candies in here yesterday. So that was so nice. And then I had to laugh because somewhere in the middle of it, Marnie's mum went ping against the cut glass. And I just laughed and I said, "Yes, and I know why you did that." So, anybody else know, why do you ping against cut glass? Anybody know? Or what is not why you should, but what is the purpose of it? Yes, is it crystal? Uh, this is the way you find out if it's crystal or not. So what I said, and thank you, Jody, for knowing that. What I said was, when she did it, I went, "Funny you should do that, because and now we both know." And then I left it at that. It was like, "Yeah, I know why you did that." And I'm not, I didn't need to ask why she did it. I knew exactly why she did it. I don't know. There was some humor in that for me. That I knew and I didn't have to ask, and now we both know. But it was so funny because I gave them all their presents, and then they went into the confetti corner area, and they saw some of the things there, and they wanted to take at least one Christmas village for a friend of theirs. So that was fine. And then Marnie took, one of those fourfold things. I'd show you, but I've just put, hang on a second. I don't have two of them, but she took two tall houses. And if I can fold this quickly, this is what I call a fourfold. Guess why? It folds 4 times. All right, so for those of you who haven't seen it, it is a little combination where it's a house, a fourfold, and then another house. So Marnie took one of those for a friend. So they had the extra village starter kit, what I call group one. And then they also took this and off they went. Happy campers. And then they'd been gone about 10 minutes when the phone rang. And I answered the phone and I went, "Hi, you okay?" Because it was from Marnie. I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, we're on our way back." I said, "What?" She said, I just want to tell you that we just turned around. We're on our way back. And we want 2 more of these, of this set. Do you have 2 more? And I said, "Well, yes. I've got to construct them, but I've got them." So that was really funny because so they came back and got 2 more. And they realized it was the perfect little present to give to people. So I quickly I had them cut out already and all ready to go. I just needed to construct them. So I did. And then I boxed them up for them. So they got all of those. So they're very happy. They realized it was the perfect gift to give a couple of people they were going to be seeing in the next couple of days. So, the fact they turned around and came back for more, I was quite surprised. But we all agree it's something you have to experience. You have to actually see it to appreciate it. And therefore, the goal is I need to get it into places where it can be seen, which will be what I need to do next year if I want to sell them, or if I even want to do that. At the moment, I'm having great fun making them just for my family and friends. So you think about that. And they're having, one thing I said to Marnie and Marie was, the good news is I have not met anybody that received any part of the Christmas village that went, "Oh, really? I don't like that." I said quite the opposite. Everybody, gets so excited about it. So that to me is what it's all about. So do you think, going back to the whole feeling of joy and so forth, the fact that they gave me candy when I am pre-diabetic, is that necessarily a bad thing? No, because I can still eat it. I need to control how much I eat and when. So after I'd gone through about half of them last night, I put it away in another room, which is the only way I could control I really do like sugar, people. Really like sugar. So what can I say? I'd love to tell you that it's not true. But, it's like any addiction, right? And I don't know if any of you have any addictions, but it's like any addiction. You may have it under control, but it never really goes away. And there have been times in the last 10 years where things have happened and I thought, I really could do with a cigarette now. And I go, no, you really do need to go and get a nice strong cup of coffee and distract your mind away from that thought is what you need to do. And so I haven't yet learned to control. For those of you who didn't hear the horror story, last week I decided to cook because I love the shortbread. So I decided to cook some with the idea of putting them in little tins and giving them to people. Well, I made them and I ate the whole lot. And I'm pre-diabetic. Not smart. Not smart at all, but it's what I did. And so, such is life. And just so that you know, I've got Yvonne coming tomorrow, my friend Yvonne. And so that's been a week. 3 lots of visitors in 1 week for me is unbelievably exciting. However, I did this because last Christmas I was quite lonely. And what I realized was I need to be accountable this year of inviting people over. I need to be accountable. It will be lonely if you don't set it up for people to come visit you. And so that is what I did. Yeah, Jody's saying, it happens. Ask me what happened to the Little Debbie fudge rounds. Yeah. 1 minute they're there, and the next minute, what fudge rounds? Right? So I did feel loved already this week, and I know that I'll get lots of good hugs. Oh, and this afternoon, I forgot that Siora is coming this afternoon, so that's more hugs for me. So, it's like good stuff. So here's the thing. If you don't like being lonely, invite people over. And not everybody is going to say yes. Don't take it personally. Still invite people over, right? And now my job, because I'm nearly through my invitation list now in terms of December, now I need to start inviting people to come visit me in January. Does that make sense? I realize that it is up to me. And I don't mind if you come for lunch or you come for dinner. It's just like, come visit at a time that suits you, and get it set up. Or if you prefer to be a guest, it's time to say, hey, you know something? I'd love to have coffee with you, or come over and have coffee. Would you rather do it at your place, or shall we meet up somewhere? All right? Be accountable. And here's the other thing. With all that's going on in the world, do we know we will get another chance? And I don't mean to be a doomsday person, but you understand where I'm coming from. Or with our health issues or with anything else, do we know we're going to get another chance? So please make it a priority. All right, Jeannie's saying, I have not gone to a yard sale since York died. York being her husband who died last year. Today I went half an hour away to buy a Christmas plate that I found on Marketplace. I did it by myself, and I was proud of myself. And I took Stella, that's her dog, took Stella with me for the ride. Absolutely well done, Jeannie. I am so proud of you. This is a major step forward. All right? That you can do it on your own, and that is important. Really important. I am so proud of you, honey. So proud of you. And this is like, and again, do it now, because you don't know this time next year whether you'll be able to. And Jody, I can't help but think how uncomfortable that must have been with that pillow stuck to your right side, with that infection going on. How on earth did you even get in a wheelchair? Because that must have been really uncomfortable for you. But you did, obviously. So I'm feeling pretty loved this week. And how about you? I hope that you are. I hope you're doing things, right? Be accountable. Hope you are doing things that in turn allow you to feel loved. Very important. I felt a feeling of great joy this week. How about you guys? I actually had a moment of great joy. The joy was so great, I nearly cried. And the reason is because for the first time in a year, I opened my front door and I walked to the post box, which is about 2 blocks away. I'm in a big community of like 106 houses, and the post box is in the middle. And I walked there and back without pain. Now, was I still limping a bit? Absolutely. But was I in pain? No. And that is the first time since I went onto those anti-cancer drugs that I'm no longer taking. That's the first time I've been able to do that, or even thought that I might be able to do it. And I was so overjoyed. And, funny enough, I met somebody halfway and she said, you're not just walking, you've got a spring in your step. And I said, thank you. And I said, that's how it feels, actually. And I said, I'm just so delighted to be able to walk again. So, did any of you have any feelings of joy this week? And I hope you did. Yeah, Jody said I was joyful when you shared that news with me. Yeah, it was just, it was mind-blowingly exciting for me. So How about this one? Nowadays, visitors don't care about food or drinks. All they want is the Wi-Fi password and a charger. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Oh, and that's something I want to say about Doug. Doug intentionally left his phone in the car for the time he was with me. And he said, I've left it there, Sal, because if I bring it in, it's just going to keep going off. And that will distract away from what we want to do, which is to spend time together. I thought that was so loving. What about you? So loving. And I just, I felt the amount of love he must have felt, to be able to make that decision when it's so important. Uh, yeah, I've said that I felt environmentally responsible about the wrapping paper. Um, the reason is that Doug very carefully took the removable tape off his presents and handed me back the paper because he knows I'm the one person in the world that will reuse paper. And because it's high quality, I can just use it for a smaller present. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I thanked him for the love in that. And also, it saves me money, and he knows that. But it's just like I spend the money at the front end, but same thing is I never throw tissue paper away, never. After people have gone, I fold it and use it for the next present. And I've got quite a lot of tissue paper in my life now. When I get boxes from Amazon, I don't throw that packaging away. I have a big bag of all that plastic, pillow type thing, so that when I'm sending stuff out, I don't need to do that. So think about how you can reuse the packaging this year. That's what my gift to you is please think about not crunching up the paper, but maybe being able to reuse it. How many of you are careful about that? Think about how much paper ends up in the landfill that doesn't need to. Okay. And if you're going to scrunch it up and put it in a bag. You know what I mean? Make it, instead of using tissue paper, use scrunched up thing. I think people would appreciate that. Jody and I were discussing last week the how pretty wrapping paper can be if you use newspaper. And if you're saying, well, I don't like the fact that the ink comes off or whatever, spray it, with a what do you call it? With a lacquer or hairspray, spray it so that that doesn't happen. There are so many different things that you can do to save money in wrapping. Oh, interesting. Jeannie's saying yesterday was the last day of school for my grandson until after Christmas. I sent everybody via DoorDash some Chinese food for dinner. You are so kind. It made me very happy. Jeannie, I am so glad that you can see how, people think that we do these things and we're so noble. But the truth is we get so much joy out of doing it, right? And that is, I love that you added that because that to me tells me that your emotional intelligence that's one step ahead of most people. That you can see that you get joy from doing that. And that's really important. So have any of you done anything environmentally friendly this week? Oh, and by the way, um, somewhere during the meetup with Marnie and Marie, I had one of these bags, which I love, and I've talked to you about before, because they are thicker than most. All right, these baggies. They are so easy for me to open and close with arthritis, but When I use them, I turn them inside and put them on the top level of my dishwasher to sanitize them. And I was quite surprised. Marnie said to me, Sal, you've always been one step ahead of that game. And I remember when you first started using and reusing plastic bags. I've got a container of plastic bags here. And I'm not joking. I probably have been, these are the big size ones. And these are the ones that when I make bread, dough, I will section it out into about 3.2 ounces ready for a pita. And I put each one in a bag. All right. But I have been reusing these bags probably for 5 years. It's just like amazing. So buy good quality. If you've got to use plastic bags, buy good quality ones and reuse them. Really important. The other one, I've just put it away. But when I use a paper towel, I throw it in the washing up bowl and just let it sit there for a couple of hours. And then I rinse it out and dry it and reuse them. Not that I'm cheap. It's like, I don't, you just need to rinse them out, people, and reuse them. And if you're still using the disinfectant wipes, do you know how many times you can wash those? After I've used a disinfectant wipe, I just throw it in the wash. In my lingerie bag, I put them all in my lingerie bag and I wash them. And I use them for paper towels. I use them for Kleenex. I use them for all sorts of things. Right? It's like amazing the things you can reuse if you want to. I don't know what it is about the older I get, the more environmentally concerned I get. How many of you feel amused this week? Did you get anything that amused you? And what amused me was how long it takes for all that sugar that I had with the shortbread to leave my body. I am pleased to say that my blood sugar is coming down, but it's been probably 4 days, and I didn't take my blood sugar today, but I probably will take it tomorrow and find out. It went way up, and that's a really good thing to know, that I could eat that many sugar cookies, shortbread, and my blood sugar went all the way to that. But it did start dipping again almost immediately. Now, what have I done? I obviously had a lot more liquid water drinks. I had a lot more coffees and stuff. And I'm trying to eat more protein. All those things help bring your blood sugar down. So Jody taught me well when I first got diagnosed. So this is good. But it actually did amuse me. But then, of course, last night I ended up eating the... Yeah, I probably had about 6 of those. So it's the time of year. But that's just an excuse that it's the time of year, because if I had self-control, I could thoroughly enjoy those, maybe 1 or 2 a day, and be fine. So good. I made a note to say that I'm feeling better. But even though I'm still have a cold, I feel good in myself. What is it, the expression that Doug always uses? I feel good in my soul. I'm happy in my soul. Do you know that feeling? Where it doesn't really matter what's going on in your body or with other people. You're just happy in your soul. And I was really aware that that is true of me this year, that I really do feel happy in my soul. I'm really happy to have survived all that I went through last year, and I am grateful, so grateful for so many things. One of the things I did is I bought a, how do I word that? A sock putter runner. Because now that I'm older, it gets more difficult, right? And with the problems that I've got, um, that I have problems getting my socks on because of my hip problem here. I have problem lifting this leg up, to put a sock on. I don't know how you put your socks on, but I used to put my socks on by putting my one foot onto the other knee and then putting the sock on. I can do that with my right leg still. I can't do it with my left. But I'm working on it. I'm trying to free that up a bit more. But what I decided was don't struggle. Two things I've discovered. I might have mentioned the first one to you before, but that is lower your center of gravity. In other words, if you're having problems putting on your socks or shoes or anything like that, lower your center of gravity. So don't sit on a bed that's got double mattress on it. Maybe the toilet is lower, all right? So it'll make it easier because your butt is closer to the floor. I wonder if that makes sense to everybody. I have one couch that is lower than the other. And that's even lower than my toilet, all right? So I found that I could go to that couch and get my socks on quite easily. And so it's easier to bend from the waist down to the floor than it is to lift the leg up. I hope that makes sense. However, I did buy a sock puller-upper. So what you do is hang on. Actually, two things. If you know anybody that's my age, great Christmas presents for them. Okay. Number one, this is a sock puller-upper. So what you do is you put the sock over here and right the way as far up here as you can. You then slide your foot in and then you pull this out. And by pulling it out, because it's got a rubberized bit here, it pulls it up and over your heel. Very simple, very effective, but boy, does that help. So if you know somebody of my age, a really useful present. And the other one, really useful present, get them a shoehorn that has different heights to it. So this, a telescopic one, right? So this I can use sitting down on the couch, or I can use it standing up and get my shoes on. So a really good gift. I definitely recommend them. So actually, I should put the links up for this because they really are worth having if you know anybody of my age. So I think that being aware of how lucky I am that I can still do it, is the important thing. All right. Even though it's getting more difficult to do it, I'm glad that I can still do it. Right. And that's what I work on all the time is that I'm grateful what I can do rather than not what I can't do. And Jody, I know, is the same because it's really important to be aware of that. So the other thing I did was I was quite creative. I think I told you last week, I've been doing experiments making my own soap and disinfectant bombs to go in my cistern, in my toilet, the bit that carries the water, the cistern. And that's working really well. I'm quite surprised how clean my toilets are staying. So obviously the recipe I've got is working quite well. So I'm happy about that. I felt quite relieved and also delighted with that. Did any of you feel amused this week? Hi, Jenny. Did any of you feel amused? I got amused. I got amused reading some stuff. I don't know how I got into it, but I was reading some stuff about George Clooney. And apparently, as I think some of you know, they've got a house in Italy. And he said that both his wife Amal and the twins, they all speak fluent French and fluent Italian, just by virtue of where they've been living, most of the time. But George doesn't. So guess what? They use it against him, right? So whenever they're angry with him or want to mess with his brain, they start talking in French or Italian. I don't know if any of you can imagine this. And then he pretends to talk in French or Italian. Oh, Ginny's got news. Okay, Ginny, let me have the news and I'll see if we should share it. That's a good idea. So here we go. So I don't know about you, but I cried with laughter at the vision of that. I thought it was wonderful. And then he had another side comment, which was, well, where did he grow up? Kentucky? Hang on, I want to make sure I get that right. I'm pretty sure I think he grew up in Kentucky. And he said to the interviewer, I grew up in Kentucky, so English is a second language to me. Hi, Sandy. How kind of you to pop in and visit. I really appreciate that. So I don't know why I laughed so hard at those, but it's just like, oh, interesting. Sandy's saying, thank you, Sal. I just put those 2 items on my Amazon cart for my mom. It's a pleasure. I really want to say that she will not be unhappy. Wow. Ginny's saying last week her next door neighbor had a fire and the sprinklers came out and all our neighbors evacuated. Firefighters came too. That is so stressful. Believe me, Ginny and I know about that one. So I hope you're okay. And I think what you learn when something like that happens, even if it isn't in your house, the fact that all the sprinklers came on means that stuff that you own probably got damaged as well. So where do you keep your precious papers? Are they in a waterproof safe, like the freezer? I want to tell you, the freezer is one of the best places to put anything of great value. Right? Think about that. And if you've got a freezer with a lock on it, that also helps. Yeah, Ginny, I'm sorry to hear that so close to Christmas. Ginny's saying my house had floods and all my rooms and kitchen. Yeah, horrible, right? Yeah, Sandy, does that make sense? I have my will in my freezer. I have, because it's like, and anybody that needs to know would need to get to my will knows where it is. And it's also logged in the, will bank, whatever, with the BC government, that's where my will is if anybody's looking for it. But it really is, when you think about it, it's fireproof. And even if the fire is there, you've got, the only thing is if you have a fire in your house, make sure they don't throw your freezer out because everything's gone bad, right? This is called before you do that. And that's something you need to make sure the people know. Don't throw the fridge out without pulling the will out of it. Freeze it, rather. So that's the only time you have to be really careful. So I look at it and go, it's been so many different feelings this week. I was quite surprised when I started to write this. I was really grateful this week. What about you? All right. So Jenny's saying, so she's had to move temporarily and I don't know where I'm going to. Also, all my stuff will go in storage. Jenny, did you have household insurance? This is a time when you think I should have. One of the things I have to tell you, that I pay a lot of money for household insurance. I buy very high quality household insurance. Good. Why? It covers me to live very well in the case of a fire. All right. When I had my fire, I was in a fully furnished executive apartment. All right. That was paid for by the insurance. Uh, and I was gone for 6 months. And they took everything out of my house and stored it. I didn't do it. Okay. I would change insurance companies. Mine, I want to tell you something. Mine were on my doorstep within hours of the fire. I mean, literally within 12 hours of the fire, they were on my doorstep telling me not to worry. You know, that they organized where I needed to go. They put me into a hotel to start with just so that I had a place to sleep overnight. But then I got to choose where I wanted to go afterwards, and they gave me the choices. Um, so to me, it's like I was so grateful that I bought good insurance, even though it's expensive to do. But when you really need it, I was so glad that I spent the money. All right, I want to go back to how grateful I was. You remember how many of you were in the broadcast last week when Kimmy popped in, and Kim said something about she'd watched the movie Leave the World Behind. And I don't know why I had not seen anything about that movie. All right. Ginny, they packed up every single part of my house. Everything. They literally went to a shelf, or for example, they literally took a picture of that corner of my kitchen and then packed everything there. They opened that cupboard, took a picture of it, and then packed everything. And then after the house was redone, they put everything back. I mean, with tears in my eyes, they put everything back exactly how it was. Right? It was amazing how they did it. It was just fascinating to watch it. Fascinating to watch how they did it. And just that's the level of care and attention that they paid. And so, I was very grateful for that. Anyway, so where was I? Anyway, so Kim mentioned this movie that she'd seen. So after the broadcast, I obviously went and checked out the movie to see what it was about. And Julia Roberts is in it. So I thought, oh, it must be worth watching. Wow. Now, it's not for the faint of heart, but, it's a little bit of a thriller. But I want to tell you something. You watch that movie and all you can think about is, I hope it's not true. You know what I mean? It's one of those movies where you're going, it's an interesting concept, but I hope it's not, I hope it never becomes fact. And then there's part of you that goes, or has it already happened in some ways? So if you can take a thriller, now some people can't. I told my sister to stay well away from it. Yeah, don't go near that. Even though it's Julia Roberts, it's not a romantic comedy. But it is. I find it fascinating to watch, quite honestly. So there you go. Now then, I felt grateful this week of that. And then I thought how much fun it is when we share that sort of information with one another. What about you guys? You got to say, well, so and so enjoyed that movie, and I sort of relate to some of the ways she thinks, so therefore maybe I'll enjoy it too. It's just an interesting concept. Now, I saw something that I thought we should try. Hold on a second. Oh. Okay, you can all see that, right? One of the things that I've always said to you is, never crack an egg on the side of something because you're pushing the shell into the egg, right? So do it on the flat. And you guys have seen me do that time and time again. But here's what one person did. They said, if you want to crack an egg, just drop it. And that's why I did a glass bowl. So you can see there isn't any shell. How many of you want me to try it again? Because there are those who are going, yeah, once lucky. Not about twice. Are you praying for me? Oh, there was a bit of shell on the second one. A little bit. Oh, I don't think it's a bit of shell. Not sure what it is. Might be a bit of white, actually. It's not shell. Okay. No, it's not shell. So, how about that? Did everybody learn something? And you know me every time. Yeah, interesting, right? You can't crack an egg on a flat surface. Do you want to see me do it, Sandy? I'm obviously going to have omelette for breakfast after the broadcast. Okay, so literally, all I do is I just literally take it, bang, and then done. No shell, nothing. But good bang, not a gentle one, a good bang, and then split it open. Got it? And let me tell you something, Sandy. If you want to learn a fancy trick like this, don't use the edge of the oven. You just push the shell in. One of the things I always say to people, yes, if you want to learn how to do something like this, keep practicing, but get a dozen eggs just so you can practice. All right. And then make sure you know what you're going to use the eggs for. For example, when I saw the original movie of The Breakfast at Tiffany's, no, Sabrina with Katharine Hepburn. She went to the Cordon Bleu cookery school in France, and they taught her how to crack an egg with one hand. And I saw that, and I went, I always wanted to be able to do that. And guess what? One day I bought a dozen eggs in case I messed up. Bought a dozen eggs, and I went, boom. And I did it on the first one. It was way easier. It was way easier than I thought. And now I had a dozen eggs, so I had a lot of egg dishes that week. So but you can just drop it and it will crack without all the bits of shell getting in. That's pretty impressive. But you understand, Sandy, don't do it occasionally. Go, okay, on Saturday, I'm going to get half a dozen eggs, probably half a dozen is plenty, and you've got a family, so you can use the eggs very easily. They're not going to go to waste. And if necessary, you can freeze eggs, right? You do know that. So if you want to crack them but not use them and save them, just put the egg into a muffin tin or something, and then put the muffin tin into your freezer. Freeze them. Yeah, Sandy's saying when we do eggs, we do 10 at a time. Great time to practice. But do you need it for scrambled eggs? Don't do it for fried eggs, because they are inclined to break the yolk. All right. But yeah, do it, and make it your a goal for the coming month. Yeah, I'm gonna learn how to crack an egg without doing it on the side of the oven. Options. Once you've got options. The other thing I wanted to say about having visitors is, for example, I know that Marnie and Marie have a number of fur babies. And so I said to them, you do know the fur babies are welcome, because they come from quite a way away. And, it's not that I know they will bring the fur babies. It's just I want them to know they're welcome. And they politely declined and said, no, we won't be bringing them. But thank you so much for that offer. So I wouldn't dream of inviting Jeannie to come visit without her doggie, for example, Stella, all right? Or Jody and Lionel without Taylor, because that's family to them. Now, is it more difficult? Yes, of course it's more difficult in many ways, because my house isn't set up. They got 4 dogs now. Isn't set up for 4 dogs, but hey, we'll make a plan. So what I want you to do is to be aware of, it's the little things that mean a lot. And again, something that I taught Benji way back when, that he actually took note of, and still to this day does. Keep notes on your family and friends. Keep notes. Because it is really important for you to know, what people like and don't like. And, it makes them feel so loved when you say, I was going to make da 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 da, but I know you don't like so and so. In that very moment, they feel loved. So to me, it's about showing people love at this time of year. Doesn't require a lot of money and fancy presents. All right? What it requires is that you love them, and all that means. So I'm going to let you think about that. And by the way that I wrote this broadcast for today was, I just opened up a file and started to make notes of I feel, and then every day I added another category. And I was amazed how quickly I got into the fact that I actually had, the broadcast. Yes, and Junie's saying, if I were her guest, she would never give me anything with garlic. No, because she knows I'm allergic. And she wouldn't, feel, oh, it's not fair, I can't use garlic. No. And by the way, I actually have Montreal steak spice, and I believe that has dried garlic in it. For some reason, it doesn't affect me. So I say to people, hey, if you want to put seasoning, I'm not allergic to Montreal steak spice. I use it all the time. It's just, I just don't do fresh garlic well. And I actually have had garlic, but I'm inclined to only have it in my own house, where I can crawl into bed and sleep it off in a hurry. But it'll normally takes about a day to leave my body. So all is well in my world. What about yours? And I know that I have most of the wrapping. I'm doing the wrapping in order, as we all do. Who's the next person that I need to give a present to? And that will be the next set of things that I wrap up. And I've done pretty well in giving people useful presents. All right. Like I was saying, that, this is a useful present. And I've been giving people, and I normally do that. I will give them baggies like the ones I have, or so forth. I don't waste a lot of money on other stuff or stuff that I've made. And it's all about just being able to unwrap something, isn't it? It's not about money. It's about the thought. So, Jody, I know that you give gift bags to your people who bring stuff to you, like your Meals on Wheels people and so forth. May we ask, what do you put in there? Just so that we get some ideas for maybe the delivery guy from the grocery store, if you have stuff delivered, or maybe, the Amazon driver. Anybody got any nice tricks for that sort of thing? Obviously, a card goes down well. But obviously, a card with some money in it goes down even better. But then we never know which person is going to be delivering. It might not be your regular person. So be aware of that. And if it's not your regular person, maybe hold the gift back until the regular person arrives again. All right. So Jeannie's saying that she decided on 3 things: gift cards to the grocery store, handmade presents like the soaps, and candy. Okay, good. Sandy's saying, I still have the vanilla I started back in 2020. It was supposed to be a gift, and I'm hoping they're still okay. Did you start with the base of vodka? Most vanilla starts with the base of vodka. Got a feeling they could, it will probably last into the next century. All right, because the vodka preserves any, that's pure alcohol just about. Now, I'm worried, and I don't know if anybody knows this. I've had my vanilla, maturing. But do I need to warn people that it's got a vodka base? Because what if they're alcoholic? Would the baking, use it to bake, get rid of the alcohol content? Does anybody know? All right, so Jody's saying she's giving them a jar of jam, a small gift card to Dunkin' Donuts, all right, caramels, and a beautiful gift, and a beautiful soap, okay, as well. So you look at it, that's, really interesting. So Jody, could you have I don't know how you would even search for that, but my question is, does the alcohol content of vanilla, vanilla, affect an alcoholic? We're not talking the fake stuff that you buy in the store, but homemade vanilla, real vanilla. Let's see if Jody can find it. If anybody can find it, it'll be Jody. Yeah, so that's what I was wondering. And the reason is because one of my friends is alcoholic, a recovered alcoholic. So what I thought I might do is not give that person the vanilla, or give it to the wife and say, please be aware that the base of vanilla is vodka. So I'm pretty sure that if you bake with it, that the baking will evaporate any alcohol content and leave the flavor. Okay, that's the question, Jody. All right, it says it evaporates during cooking. Yes. So therefore, but what about if she made a smoothie? All right, and so therefore only use it in cooking. Don't use it for smoothies. And agreed? Yeah, that's what I've decided. Or even, Sandy, what I'm going to do with mine is just put it on the label, just a little warning. The base of vanilla is vodka. If you cook with it, the alcohol content will dissipate. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Jody. And I quote, you see, she's so clever with this stuff. Jody found vanilla extract probably poses much less danger of relapse than, than the alcohol in mouthwash or in cough syrups. And Sandy's saying, but that is something I'd never thought about, and such a good point. Yeah, that's why we get together every week, isn't it, Sandy? Is to learn stuff. Don't you know? How much have you learned? Just seriously, if you all think about that, how much have you learned just by us getting together every week? Cracking eggs, alcohol content. So thanks, Jody. An awesome job. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful weekend. I see you on Friday, Sunday. Jody, I want to thank you so much for, even though you had all that stress of going to the surgeon today, that you still came in to take your place as the admin. And Jeannie, thank you so much for being here to back her up. You have no idea how much that meant to me that you would do that. I really appreciate it. So, big hug to you all. And remember these little things, all right? Can you imagine how loved the husband will feel if I say, I'm handing you this bottle of vanilla. Understand it has an alcohol base. However, if you have it neat, it's not going to do any worse than mouthwash or what was the other thing? Mouthwash or cough syrup. But to be safe, yeah, maybe only use it for cooking. Think about that. All right. But we don't know who's a recovering alcoholic. You see, that's my point. How many people do we not know are recovering alcoholics? And I care about that. So great to see you all. We'll see you on Sunday, hopefully. Let's keep learning stuff. And I hope you enjoyed that learning. Great ideas and great ideas for gifts. Thank you all. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody, and thanks, Jeannie, for the backup.